necessary to put some fire in our feast. You can also toss in a touch of Tansin, a pinch of Trafalgar, and use a stopwatch to time it all to perfection. Then get ready to sample our special of the day. It's Derby stew, Louisiana style. C'est bon. Thrifty car rental, racing across America. Presented by Visa. It's always party time in New Orleans. And this weekend, they've got plenty to celebrate. Let's strike up the band for Louisiana Derby Day. It was here at the Fairgrounds racetrack in New Orleans last year where we watched W.T. Young's unknown Grindstone win the Louisiana Derby. He would go on to Kentucky and win the Derby by a nose under jockey Jerry Bailey for trainer Dwayne Lukas. Grindstone, the first Louisiana Derby winner to take the roses since the legendary Black Gold in 1924. Welcome to this American racing treasure, the New Orleans Fairgrounds, the third oldest center of thoroughbred racing in this country, celebrating its 125th season of racing. It's an overcast and cool Sunday afternoon in New Orleans. Temperatures just slipped below 60 degrees, but we have a fast racetrack. Hello again, everyone. I'm Chris Lincoln. It's Derby Day in the Deep South. They first ran the Louisiana Derby in 1894. Today, the 85th renewal. This is the time of year where the spotlight is shining brightly on the Derby prospect. It's the thoroughbred industry's version of the road to the Final Four. For us, though, it all heads to Churchill Downs on the first Saturday in May, and this year, the 123rd Kentucky Derby. Today, we'll take a look back at yesterday's Florida Derby and some of the best three-year-olds in the East, check in on the best of the West, and then, of course, tell our Derby story here in Louisiana. Let's set our conditions of racing this afternoon. Louisiana Derby offers the richest purse ever at this track for the Derby, $400,000. It's grade 3, three-year-olds at 1 1/16 miles. Working with me this afternoon, Dan Kenny along with Dave Johnson and Caton Bader. Dave and Caton just in from Gulfstream Park in Florida. Derby Day there yesterday, Derby Day in Louisiana today. Good to have you with us here in the paddock.
Well, Caton, the question is, are there any grindstones in here? But first of all, what's a grindstone?
Well, Dave, a grindstone is a horse who can win just one race as a 2-year-old, a maiden race, then enter the Triple Crown picture off of one allowance race and a win in the Louisiana Derby. And in answer to your former question, there may be several grindstones in this field.
Nice, improving 3-year-olds ready to go the 1 1/16. Let's see who's entered today for this Louisiana Derby. We start with a pair from the Lukas barn, the hero of the Risen Star Stakes Open Forum, coupled with Trafalgar. Stopwatch, an impressive winner at Gulfstream last out. Mike Smith in for the ride. Celtic Warrior from California is the 3-horse at a price. Multiple stakes winner at age 2, Cash Deposit. And Julie Crone rides the now 3-year-old. Long shot Rise and Shine. Play on words there. This horse is by Risen Star. Kurt Bork rides. Tansit on a winning streak is the 6-horse. Smoke Glacken, the 8-5 morning line favorite. Make that 9-5 morning line favorite. The Gray Blur is a sort of a homecoming here in New Orleans for local Greg Perrette. And Pat Day takes them out on Crypto Star, completing the field 5-1. You know, in horse racing, our big dance is May the 3rd in Louisville. We'll have some May madness up there for the Derby. But before that, trainers and owners, well, they're talking about getting to the Sweet 16 or the Final Four. They need the right answers to some pretty tough questions.
And the biggest questions surround Smoke Glacken and his ability to get the longer distances. Now, he's done just about everything right. He's won 7 of 9 lifetime starts, and he was impressive around 2 turns in the Southwest Stakes, going a flat mile. But in spite of all that, critics say his pedigree and also that short Oaklawn Park stretch may be obstacles to his ability to get the long Churchill Downs home stretch or even the Fairgrounds home stretch for the longer distances.
Now from the shed row shadow of pulpit, the other 3-year-old in Frankie Brothers' barn, Stopwatch, who stamped himself as a real contender when he won this 1 1/16 event 3 weeks ago at Gulfstream Park.
And you have to consider the significance of the Risen Star. Won an unusually slow time by Open Forum over Crypto Star and Cash Deposit. The top 3 finishers are right back in the thick of things again with a legitimate pace. Could be a different finish.
So there's just more than one objective. Everybody wants a major share of that $400,000 purse, but all of the connections are looking for improvement, education, and encouragement. And, you know, lessons learned at stops like this pay off at places like Churchill Downs, Pimlico, and Belmont Park. Right, Chris?
Right you are, Dave. We saw it last year. Dan Kenny joins me now. Dan, I guess if you want to start handicapping the Kentucky Derby, there's no better place to begin than at the barn of trainer D. Wayne Lukas. He's won the last 2 Run for the Roses.
Well, Chris, whenever anyone dominates the entire Triple Crown the way Lukas has, every move he makes draws intense scrutiny. And you'll recall it was only a couple of months ago when Wayne said, "My bench is deep. Watch me. I'm loaded." He probably feels a little bit like Rick Pitino right now. That January bench doesn't look quite as deep in March, so he sends out 2 today in Open Forum and Trafalgar, and they need to advance to get their ticket punched. So we went out this morning to see what he thought about their chances this afternoon.
Well, Open Forum, you know, has had the win over the racetrack, and I think that's significant, and he's beat some of the horses in the field. We might have got a little bit lucky last time in that we got away with a real good leisurely pace on the front end, and then we're able to, you know, kick it on home. Obviously, that won't be the case today. There's a lot of speed in the race, and I think that we can run better than we did in the Risen Star in that win, but I think we're going to have to. Trafalgar is an interesting horse. He is a completely different style horse. I think that he'll come from just off of it, and I think he's got the ability to maybe run this far.
Well, Chris, you know, Lucas's colts might be iffy, but Wayne Lukas didn't get to where he is by not having another one up his sleeve, and he's got a good one out in California.
It's a dandy, and it's a filly, and she is something. Sharp Cat, I saw her win the Santa Anita Oaks, the Grade 1 race in California last Saturday. So I asked Wayne this morning, if the Kentucky Derby were run today, this day, would she be in the Run for the Roses against the boys?
If they ran the Derby, we were taking entries this morning. I would again, I haven't talked it over with Dick Mulhall, the manager of Thoroughbred Corp for Prince Solomon, but I would suggest to both of them that we go ahead and run. I think that on what I've seen so far, in light of this weekend and so forth, if they ran it tomorrow, I'd be confident that she'd more than hold her own on the Kentucky Derby.
Now, Wayne did confirm to me today he is starting Sharp Cat in the Santa Anita Derby against the boys. The same route he took in 1988 with winning colors. She won that Santa Anita Derby and his first Kentucky Derby. When we come back, we'll review yesterday's Florida Derby and talk more about some of the Derby prospects of 1997. Thrifty Car Rental, racing across America, is brought to you by Thrifty Car Rental. Best of all, it's thrifty. By Visa, it's everywhere you want to be. Budweiser, Beechwood aged for a crisp, clean, classic taste. By the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority. Get away from the ordinary and discover the extraordinary Las Vegas. Call your travel agent today. And by Nicorette Gum. You can do it. Nicorette can help. Thrifty Car Rental, racing across America. Presented by Visa, welcomes you back to the New Orleans Fairgrounds, the 85th Run for the Orchids. And you see the simulcast dining room, both upstairs and downstairs, are packed. And the smart folks are inside. We've got a few spits of rain right now. I mentioned that Dave and Caton were yesterday at Gulfstream Park for the Florida Derby. They're here with us now to give you an update on our Run for the Roses.
Last year, Grindstone took the Louisiana Derby and the Kentucky Derby, but 4 of the last 7 years, the Kentucky Derby came out of the Florida Derby. This year's edition of that race run yesterday. Caton, what was the headline?
Well, Pulpit loses instead of Captain Bodgett wins, but, you know, with all the Pulpit mania and excitement surrounding Claiborne Farm's previously undefeated 3-year-old, I don't think it's a surprise that the emphasis was on his second-place finish rather than on the potential new superstar in the making in Captain Bodgett.
Okay, it was at 1 1/8 on the fast track at Gulfstream Park. As we pick up the action, it was Wrightwood from the Lukas barn in front. Frisk Me Now charges up on the outside, and Pulpit, who was a bit tardy out of the gate, just didn't have his usual zip. He was 4th. He's 3rd now. Michelle's All Hands on the outside is 4th. And just about to come into your picture, Bodgett, who in the Fountain of Youth was back 22 lengths, wasn't that far back yesterday.
Captain Bodgett in the red cap on the outside takes the high road. Pulpit under Shane Sellers in the orange opts to go towards the rail, and I think that decision played in the outcome of the race, but he did gain an experience, Dave, on that deep deep rail. He has to fight off Frisk Me Now ultimately for the second place finish. Best part of the racetrack belonged to the eventual winner, Captain Bodgett.
And it looked like Pulpit got a little bit of an education down there on the wood, and moving up on the inside, gamely to finish second. And with me now is Del Hancock from the Claiborne Farm. First of all, how did Pulpit come out of the race, Del?
Well, I stopped by the barn last night, and he seemed fine, and Frankie said he was fine. I'm sure he is. So I hope he got a good education, and we'll go forward from there.
Probably the bluegrass?
That's what we'd be thinking. You know, you don't want to talk too quick, really, but that was the plan.
Del, an exciting weekend for you because now we have stopwatch here. What are you looking for with this horse today?
Well, he ran a real good race on the 22nd, I think it was, this day of the Fountain of Youth, and he came from out of it, and this is a long stretch here, and so we're hoping he'll make a big run and be right there.
Okay. Thanks for standing here in the rain with us. We'll let you get back to watch the race. Thanks very much. Now, the Claiborne colors were in the winner's circle after the '84 Kentucky Derby because Swale won that race. And that's another story from yesterday, the Swale Stakes. Caton?
Well, Del was there to present the trophy to the winners of the Swale Stakes, and here you see that winner, Confide, in the purple, alone at the top of the stretch under Mike Smith, with Country Rainbow back there, finishing ultimately second, and on the outside, moving into third, is the Silver Move, making only his first start of the year. He had to rough it out through most of the race day to end up there on the outside, while Confide just had an easy lead.
I think the Silver Move had a good return to the races, and he'll be on the Triple Crown Trail via New York.
Meanwhile, Confide is going to remain a sprinter. He'll head for the Lexington Stakes at Keeneland.
There are many roads to the Triple Crown, but one major route runs right through Santa Anita Park. And to bring us up to the minute on the California picture, let's check in again with Dan Kennedy.
Thanks, Dave. You know, while all this gallivanting is going on east of the Mississippi, out at Santa Anita today, remember Bob Baffert? He vowed last year after losing by a nose in the Derby with Cavanier, he says, I want to come back as soon as I can. He might get back real soon. Silver Charm, the good 3-year-old that he's got, came back and won first out. There he is on the rail in the San Vicente Stakes at Santa Anita with Chris McCarron aboard. Charging up on the outside, another gray horse, Freehouse. They will meet again today in the San Felipe at Santa Anita. And of course, Baffert and McCarron would love nothing more than to get back to Churchill and try to win the Derby again. It's not going to be a cinch. They also have to deal with Holzmeister. Holzmeister hasn't run since last fall when he won by 17 lengths in the Chicago Stake. He runs for Frank Stronach, is trained by Richard Mandela. Potent combo there. And of course, circling over Santa Anita, the oldest bald eagle in captivity, that's Charlie Whittingham. He hopes Effect will get him still one more trip back to the Run for the Roses, Chris.
Well, Dan, they've been running here at the Fairgrounds in New Orleans since 1872, but it's been a little tough the past 4 years. They've been doing it under tents. And joining me now is the owner, general manager, and the president of the New Orleans Fairgrounds, Brian Krantz. Brian, for you and your family, it's been awful tough, and I hate to do this to you, but one more look at that fateful night back in 1993 with the big fire.
Sure, there was a great physical loss, you know, the building, a great emotional loss that went as well with that. We're trying to recover now. We've had a lot of stops and starts, but we think we're back on our way to getting things done.
So much history, so much tradition up in flames, but as you see, the process there in the rebuilding has been monumental.
Well, you know, we struggled through, as management, we struggled through, the horsemen struggled through, the racing fans have borne up under the pressure. We're happy to get back into construction mode now, then.
Boy, that looks great, and it sounds great. The sounds of construction. Give us an update here at the Fairgrounds.
Well, we expect to have our financing complete within the next 30 days. That would mean heavy construction would begin immediately after the race meeting, with a completion date in October, having the building ready this fall, actually, for our next season opener.
And that's Thanksgiving Day. What a happy Thanksgiving that would be. Brian, thank you very much. When we return to the Fairgrounds, we'll look at today's Louisiana Derby favorite. He's a gray colt who's really been smoking him lately. Smoke Glacken. He's next. Here come our 3-year-old stars, the Derby prospects. There's the favorite, Smoke Glacken, the gray in the background there, coming right at you there. Welcome back to the Fairgrounds. It is starting to rain a bit heavier. Why am I standing out here in the rain with no umbrella? Because trainer Dwayne Lucas grabbed my umbrella to go saddle. So Wayne will be well undercover there. Want to remind you, coming up on ESPN 2, Major League Soccer makes its debut next Saturday night, New York, New Jersey, against San Jose, 8 o'clock Saturday on ESPN 2. But it's the middle of March, still about a month and a half away from the Kentucky Derby. We're still trying to sort out these different contenders from the pretenders. Actually, we're just all waiting for the smoke to clear. There is still quite a bit of smoke around this grade 3-year-old colt named Smoke Glacken. And that's even after 7 wins and 1 second in 9 career starts. His trainer, Henry Carroll, is still waiting to get the clear picture on this Maryland-bred son of Two Punch.
He has a ton of ability, really a talented colt, but I'm just hoping that we get him to relax. That's the key. If he relaxes and we'll be able to, control his speed, I think he may stretch on out. But I mean, until we do it, that's, like I said, the jury's still out.
And that's after Smoke Glacken, as a 2-year-old, followed a win in the Grade 2 Sapling with this impressive victory, the Grade 1 Hopeful Stakes at Saratoga.
And here is a dazzling performance. Smoke Glacken wins the Hopeful by 7 devastating lengths.
Then, after suffering sore shins, Smoke Glacken was given a break in mid-September to grow up before his 3-year-old season.
Colt's growing. He's filled in. He's a big bony kind of colt anyway. I mean, he's got real good bone under him, and he's kind of filled into that frame now. And he's made a real nice looking colt. Since he's been in New Orleans, he's filled in. It's just a lot more of him. I mean, he's really wintered well here.
And when the vacation ended in mid-January, he came back with this 5.5 length romp in the Black Gold Handicap, smashing a 38-year-old stakes record for 6 furlongs at the Fairgrounds in 109-2. Smoke Glacken continued his work here before invading Arkansas to win the Mountain Valley Stakes, and then back to Oaklawn for the Grade 3 Southwest.
His race again in the Southwest, I thought, was comparable to the race that he ran in the Hopeful. I mean, he just absolutely destroyed him. It was a race where Craig and I were a little concerned after the first quarter of a mile, but after the first quarter of a mile, he asked him to settle. He just came back in hand and just really rated nice for him. So that was a big plus into getting this colt to go on a little further.
Today, that will be a 16th of a mile closer to the Kentucky Derby for Smoke Glacken and his owners, Alex Carkenny, Bob Levy, and Billy Roberts.
I mean, in the back of your mind, you can't help but think about it. I mean, I know the owners are excited. They were thrilled the last time he ran because, you got the 2 turns. But I think the jury's still out as to whether he goes a mile or a quarter.
And that question won't be answered by Smoke Glacken or any other Derby prospect until the smoke finally clears on the first Saturday in May at Churchill Downs. Well, it seems pretty clear to the betting public here. There is Smoke Glacken, the 7. He has been made the 6-5 favorite by the fans here at the Fairgrounds. And as the rain continues to fall, more good news for Smoke Glacken. He won his Southwest Stake at Oaklawn his last start by 8 lengths in the rain. Greetings from famous Bourbon Street out of the French Quarter of New Orleans as racing across America makes its annual stop, and one we really enjoy at Louisiana Derby. There you see the horses in the infield getting ready to be saddled for the Louisiana Derby. And remind you, Senior PGA Golf is coming up at 5:30 Eastern on ESPN. It's the final round of the Toshiba Senior Classic from Newport Beach, California, with our friend Jim Colbert, a thoroughbred owner himself, the defending champion. Go to Dan and Kate now with more on our horses in the infield.
Well, Chris, the locally based Cash Deposit is the best hope to win this Derby. And Kate, you remember what a brilliant 2-year-old he was in Canada last year. He had an excellent 4th place finish in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Came down and won the Lecomte Handicap first time out in the breeze. That made him odds on to win the Risen Star as a prep for this race. But he had an off-color race in the Risen Star. We talked to his trainer, Danny Vella, and Danny promises there'll be some changes made for this rich Louisiana Derby.
Well, Ron and I misjudged the race a little. There was no pace in there. Of course, he knew what he wanted to do. He wanted to go on and go with open form or go to the front. Ron tried to restrain him a bit the first part, and by the end of the race, he wasn't willing to run anymore. He's, like I said, he's temperamental. He'll run when he wants to and if he wants to, and you have to try and cooperate with him and make it his way. We're going to put a set of blinkers on him. Hopefully things happen for good reasons. After that last race, we started training him in the blinkers. He's been more cooperative, more focused. His last work here on Monday was probably the best work of his life, so maybe it all turned out good.
Well, it wasn't that many years ago when blinkers was considered almost a dirty word in racing. They called it the Rogues badge, but with the Derby coming up, they're running out of time. They need to make some changes. Another change, Caton, on cash deposit. Julie Crone coming in from Florida to ride.
And in fact, 5 jockeys have shipped in from Florida, and 5 horses have shipped in from Gulfstream Park for this important race. And among them, Stopwatch, we spoke about a little earlier. Now, he earned his visit here to Louisiana with an impressive allowance victory at Gulfstream Park, going 1 mile and a 16th. You see him in the Claiborne Silks, making his move on the outside to run down President's Decree, who's been on the lead along with Dubai Dust. But what you don't see is the fact that he came from the back of the pack, dead last, and so easily blew by the competition to draw away, running easily in hand. And that was an allowance win, obviously a long jump to the stakes competition. And trainer Frank Brothers doesn't think this one's in the same league with Pulpit, but it's springtime. Anything can happen with the 3-year-old, Dan.
Well, you know, I hope Frank might have the joyful experience that Lucien Lauren had. Remember when Secretariat got beat at this time of year, it was by his stablemate Anglite. So it's always nice to have 2 good 3-year-olds. There's Al Stahl Jr. deputizing for Frankie Brothers. Local trainer Al Stahl has started working for Frankie years ago.
And Rise and Shine, the 5-horse, another up-and-comer. He's going to have to make up some ground on the competition. But trainer Elliot Walden has always done a very good job. He's a very patient type of trainer. So to make this type of a jump and to put the top rider here, Kurt Bork, on the board, it means something. I think he's a horse to keep an eye on.
Well, Risen Star, of course, would like to embellish his stud career with a win here by his son, Rise and Shine. Chris?
Well, we have umbrellas sprouting all around the fairgrounds here to go along with the flowers of spring just starting. You're getting a good look there at the 4, Cash Deposit, getting some good support at 9-2 with Danny Vella trying to keep him calm. We'll return with our post parade for the Derby next. Thrifty Car Rental, racing across America, welcomes you back to the Fairgrounds in New Orleans, the 85th running of the Louisiana Derby. The jockeys have now joined their trainers in the infield. There's Mike Smith going to be riding Stopwatch. Al Stahl Jr. Deputizing for Frankie Brothers there. Let's listen in. Mike Smith.
It's easy and fun to ride this. Ain't that the truth? A whole lot funner.
Little conversation there with Mike Smith, the jockey of Stopwatch, of course, who is Pulpit stablemate, and an impressive win of an allowance down at Gulfstream Park. See what the fans think of this Louisiana Derby here at the Fairgrounds. The odds presented by Las Vegas. Dwayne Lucas's entry, open form Trafalgar, a nice price of 14. Stopwatch, you just saw him, 11. Celtic Warrior at 12. Cash Deposit getting support at 9-2. Now let's take a look at our race favorites. Smoke Glacken is now down to even money, and Crypto Star is getting support at 3-1. The betting public a bit forgiving of his last race. Still doing their work in the infield. You see the first horse just starting to come across the turf course now and over to the main track as we prepare for the post parade for this 85th Louisiana Derby. The purse again, $400,000 guaranteed, $240,000 to the winner. Before the post parade, as Joe Kelly blows the call to the post, let's go to Caton Brady to find out about our keys to this race.
3-year-olds on the road to the Triple Crown are like basketball teams competing in the NCAA tournament, and the keys to victory in the Final 4 could be the same keys to success in the Louisiana Derby. First of all, the favorite must relax. If Smoke Glacken comes on too strong, too fast, early, he may wind up like South Carolina. Next, anyone has to put a little early pressure on Smoke Glacken in the race, or he'll smoke gate to wire on an easy lead. And finally, as always, timing is everything, especially for late runners like Stopwatch and Crypto Star. If their riders put them in the game on time, they have to have an impact on the outcome of today's game.
Combo, except for one. You see a little bit excited here. That looks like Crypto Star. That's right, the 8-horse Crypto Star, trained by Wayne Catalano. A little bit on the fractious side there. Something spooked him a bit. Now they got a good hand on him and about to throw up one of the great riders, Pat Day. Yeah. Meanwhile, the others seem to be well in line here for our post parade as the rain continues to fall here in New Orleans. It picked up a bit. There, Pat Day is up and in good shape on Crypto Star, and he'll be joining the rest of them out here in just a moment here for our Louisiana Derby parade. mentioned, it's a mile and a 16th. A check of $240,000 awaits the winning 3-year-old. Let's present the post-parade for the 1997 Louisiana Derby. From the stable of D. Wayne Lukas, owners Bob and Beverly Lewis. This is Open Forum. Wire-to-wire winner of the Risen Star Stakes here. Much tougher test, though, today. Donna Barton has earned her spot as one of Wayne Lucas's top riders. The other part of the entry is Trafalgar, a $450,000 Keeneland yearling who now is a gelding. An allowance winner at Gulfstream, was 4th behind Smoke Glacken at Oaklawn on a sloppy track. Might like this better today. Willie Martinez, 5-time riding champion at Turfway in Northern Kentucky, has them out. The great colors of Claiborne Farm on stopwatch, the Chestnut gelding. Stablemate of the 3-year-old Star Pulpit, coming off an allowance win in Florida, was a $100,000 Keeneland purchase. Mike Smith, multiple Eclipse champion jockey, rides for Frankie Brothers, Claiborne, and Adele Dilschneider today. The 3, and if you like hunch bets around St. Patrick's Day, how about Celtic Warrior from Danny Hutt's stable? California shipper that was well beaten in 2 stakes races this year at Santa Anita. Danny says throw him out. He didn't like the track. $14,000 bargain. He won almost $100,000 as a 2-year-old. Francisco Torres, the rider. The 4 is Cash Deposit, getting support from the local crowd here. Won the LeCompte prep race here, then finished 3rd in the Risen Star, beaten just a length and a half. Blinkers on for this headstrong gelding. Julie Crone is the rider, the sport's all-time leading female jockey. The 5, this is Rise and Shine, making his stakes debut off a 3rd in allowance race at Gulfstream Park. Purchased $16,000 at Keeneland. Has the services of the riding champion of the Fairgrounds, Kurt Bork. The 6 is Tansett, another Keeneland September purchase, $50,000. He's won his last 2 allowance races at Gulfstream. He's another one making his stakes debut today. John Velasquez rides. Now the race favorite. This is Smoke Glacken on a 3-race win streak, trying to stretch out to a mile and a 16th. He'll be the speed horse. It has the services of Craig Brett, who'll try to keep teaching him, try to get him to relax. Craig won the Louisiana Derby in 1994 on Kendally. And rounding out our field for the 1997 Derby, Crypto Star has got his act together now with his Hall of Fame rider Pat Day aboard. $100,000 Keeneland purchase, won an allowance race here by 10 lengths, then was 2nd after a tough trip in the Risen Star. Pat Day has won this race a record 4 times. Well, there they are, the field for our Louisiana Derby of 1997. When we come back, we'll take a look for a Budweiser long shot for you. Cash Deposit acting up a bit, you see, but the fans on the rail, they're ready. 8 minutes to post, and those are your 3 favorites.
Having won 7 of the last 8 Triple Crown races, I guess I could retire. In fact, there's some guys out there that'd like to see me retire. But I'm not ready to retire yet. I think there's a lot of wins left in this old horse.
Every day, you can see some of the country's finest horses, as well as the people who train them at Turfway Park.
Coming up on 5 minutes to race time for the Louisiana Derby. So we welcome you back to the Fairgrounds in New Orleans. And look ahead to some other sports action for you on ESPN2. It's women's college basketball. 2nd round action picks up Monday. We have a doubleheader for you. It all starts off with Oregon, Tennessee at 7:30. 2nd game for you of the 2nd round at 9:30. Our Visa Championship points this time of year as we keep track of these top 3-year-olds. Let's give you an update after yesterday's Florida Derby. Confined with the win in the Swale, moves his point total to 15. Pulpit and Captain Bodgeter right there at 14. Frisbee now at 12. And Fun on the Run with 8 points from the West Coast. Well, you've talked about our favorite, Smoke Glacken, but it's hard to get value on a odds-on choice. So that's why, as always, we look for a Budweiser long shot. Here he is for the Louisiana Derby.
To bring some law and order to this Louisiana Derby, we've selected Tansett as our Budweiser long shot. Why Tansett? Well, partly because of his name. The letters T-A-N-S-I-T stand for There's a New Sheriff in Town.
Well, the partnership that owns Tansit realized that he was, when they came to naming him, he was a silver deputy out of New Things. So they came with it. There's a new sheriff in town. So they just took the initials from the first 3 letters, for the first letter of each word, and that's what they got Tansit. But we just call him the sheriff for short.
But does our peace officer have what it takes to control this rowdy Louisiana Derby crowd?
Well, he's won both of his races in a rather what you would call gutty fashion. Came back in a 2 other lane allowance, going a distance of ground his first time around 2 turns, and really wasn't a whole lot of pace in the race. Open form and accelerator were both in there, and we laid right off the open form, and it was really a sprint from 3/8 pole to the wire, and he just a gritty performance.
And Tansit will need all that grit to arrest the speeding Smoke Glacken, or to maintain crowd control when Crypto Star and Stopwatch try to crash the finish line. It's a tough job, but the sheriff can make our day and restore the peace at a nice price as today's Budweiser long shot.
Nice price it is, Dave. Tansit at 9-1 as you take a look at him galloping towards the starting gate here. 1 mile and a 16th. There he is, 9-1. Well, after the fire, of course, destroyed the grandstand, they had to stack up, looks like 3 trailers. And on the very top of that 3rd trailer is our man Dave Johnson with another look at this field.
And delighted to be here. So, talking about Smoke Glacken and Craig Perrette, he's the regular rider of this horse. We caught up with him in Florida recently. He's, of course, shopping for a Derby mount. But everybody's talking about Smoke Glacken. Is he a sprinter or is he a router? You got to go 1.25 miles to win the Kentucky Derby. So we asked Craig Perrette, is he a sprinter or a router?
Well, actually, he's always indicated that he was a sprinter because he's just so aggressive all the time. And his last recent race at Hot Springs was the first time 2 turns, is the first sign that he gave us that he would relax. He did relax, and he ran a real powerful race. So now it kind of opens a new avenue for him. Henry always felt that he could always shorten him back up and be a top-notch sprinter, but he was pretty confident that he was going to get the route of ground, and I think he's got him coming the right way now.
Now, Craig is not the trainer, but he sure can teach a horse something during a race. I thought this was an outstanding bit of race riding in the Southwest at Oaklawn. He sprinted to the front. Look at that fraction, 22-4. The end of the first quarter, and then the beginning of the second quarter, Craig takes him back. He was able to relax this horse, doing it through the communication of his fingers. What a professional Craig Perrette is, especially in these big races. And when you see the half-mile time, you'll see that Craig got there in 47 flat. This was the key to victory for Craig Perrette and Smoke Glacken this afternoon. And there he is aboard the favorite, number 7, Smoke Glacken. Dan, Caton?
Of course, it's starting to remind me of another great Hall of Fame training job. Remember Bold Forbes? Came from Puerto Rico to Las Breas. Everybody said he's only a sprinter, but he not only went wire to wire to win the Derby, Caton, he won the Belmont, too.
I think it's his race to win or lose, but you have to keep an eye on even the also-rans in a race like this because we're not to the first Saturday in May yet, and a lot can happen in a short period of time. Watch how each of these horses progress and run down after the favorite.
Well, he might be the best horse, but he's not the best price. I'm partial to the horse we just told you about. I think Tansit's excellent value.
And I'll keep an eye on Crypto Star. Looked nice, a little sharp, and he's green. We can see that. The inexperience shows, but he's got a top jockey. Pat Day's won more Louisiana Derbies than just about anybody.
And let's go back to Chris Lincoln.
There is Wayne Catalano, the trainer of Crypto Star, looking for his 8-horse right now, owned by Darrell and Evelyn Yates. A great story here. That couple turned down $1.2 million for Crypto Star after he ran second in the Risen Star here. I saw him just a moment ago, and they said, okay, we may be crazy, but he's ours. We love him. We'll see what happens. So Crypto Star, the 8-horse. Getting ready to load up there, Risen Shine, the 5-horse. That is the daughter of Risen Star, or the son of Risen Star, a gelded son that is. And you see already in the gate, Cash Deposit. The 4 getting some good support here as well. We're ready to go up to the top. As you see Craig Perrette on the favorite, Smoke Glacken. Dave Johnson set to call the 85th Louisiana Derby.
And the odds board just clicked 3 to 5 on Smoke Glacken. Put up 5 to win 3, get 8 back. And as that big gray blur moves into the starting gate, we get ready for the $400,000 Louisiana Derby. Crypto Star on the outside. All set, ready for the start. Fast track, 3-year-olds. They're off, going 1 mile and a 16th. Along the inside rail, open for him, but in the middle of the racetrack, as expected, Smoke Glacken right up to take the lead by half a length. And open for him on the outside is in second position. From between horses, Tansett is third. Looked like Cash Deposit was in tight quarters there in fourth position. Trafalgar is 3 wide on the outside with the red cap. Fifth at this point, now fourth, as Cash Deposit drops back. Stopwatch racing with the white cap along the inside, gains a bit of ground. Rise and Shine is next, and Crypto Star. Then it's a gap of some 10 lengths to the distant trailer, Celtic Warrior. Quite strung out. Down the backstretch, and it's Smoke Glacken. 22-4 for the first quarter, coming up to the half in a very quick 45-3. Let's see if he can hold on. Smoke Glacken with Perret in front by 1 length. Open for him is second, and stablemate Trafalgar moves on the outside. Lukas running 2-3 at this point, and Tansett, the Bud Long shot, is right there between horses fourth. But here comes Stopwatch, boldly moving up on the extreme outside. Smoke Glacken has the lead. Stopwatch with the yellow blinkers in gear, and with a quarter of a mile to go in this long stretch at the Fairgrounds, it's Smoke Glacken in front. 3/4 in 1:10-1, and on the outside, here comes Stopwatch to challenge, and down the stretch they come. Smoke Glacken digging in. Stopwatch is flying, and on the outside, Crypto Star moves to the leaders. 3 of them across the track. Here's the finish of the Louisiana Derby. Oh, too tight to call. Crypto Star on the outside, or Stopwatch. Smoke Glacken on the rail. A 3-horse photo. What a finish. Final time, 1:42-3, Chris.
Wild scene you saw jumping up and down at the top of the inner-track balcony here had to be Darrell and Evelyn Yates and some of their connections with trainer Wayne Catalano for the 8-horse Crypto Star. As Dave said, it was really too close to make an official call, but it looked like the 8 might have gotten up on the outside. We'll see if we can make it clearer for you as Dan Kenny and Caton Bader take a closer look.
Well, Chris, when they broke out of the starting gate, it looked like the favorite was a little too hot today, Smoke Glacken, but he carries the lead all the way down past the 16th pole there. But you see in the middle of the racetrack in the orange silks, that is the Claiborne horse Stopwatch. Looks like he's got it momentarily, but look in the middle of the track, coming hard with every stride. Pat Day hitting left-handed. Reminds me a little bit, Caton, of a horse named Lily T that Pat Day rode.
You never see Pat riding that hard, that furiously, unless he knows he's got some horse underneath him. We said before he was a little green in the paddock. He got a little on edge, but Wayne Catalano is a top trainer, come up through the jockey ranks, so he knows how to get a horse ready. Chris?
Well, Chris Lincoln, they turned down the money. It might have been the smartest move they ever made.
Don't you know that? Pat Day now makes it 5 Louisiana Derby titles, 86, 87, 91, 92, 96, and here is the trainer, Wayne Catalano, and the connections of Crypto Star cheering him to victory. We're back at the New Orleans Fairgrounds, who've just completed the 85th running of their Louisiana Derby, and some kind of excitement here. What a great run to the wire. Just at the end, it looked like Crypto Star, the 8-horse, getting up at the wire just to edge out Smoke Glacken and Stopwatch. And there's some excited folks down here connected with this 3-year-old colt. He's by Crypto Clearance out of the Sir Ivor mare, One I Love, and was bred in Kentucky by Hargis and Sandra Sexton. Caton Bader with some of the winning and very happy connections.
Well, Chris, we're going to pick up the action with these winners. Pat, set up the race for me at this point on the turn. You really weren't even in the picture for the fans out here in the stands, but you must have felt you had a lot of horse.
Well, he was getting into it. You know, they run away from us around the turn and down the backside, but leaving the 3/8 pole, he started getting in the bridle and extending himself. And right here, I've still got a lot of work to do, but I felt like he was running, had a good long kick, and this long stretch here at the Fairgrounds certainly played in his favor. To take nothing away from Smoke Glacken or Mr. Brothers' horse that runs second, but this horse run him down. It was a courageous effort. I think Wayne here has done a great job with this colt, and I was pleased to be a part of it.
Not every day we see Pat Day with such a vigorous whipping ride through the lane, but the horse certainly responded. Wayne, he was a little on edge in the paddock prior to going out to the racetrack. Did that concern you at all?
None whatsoever. That's the way the colt is, and I told Pat about him before he got on him, and the colt's just a playful little colt. He's not really bad at all. He just feels real good.
And where would you go next after a victory like this?
Well, we're looking for the bluegrass. I'm not sure. I'll talk it over with the owners and that and see how coat comes back and everything, but we're pointing toward the bluegrass.
All right, I know that you are often understated, but we want you to watch you watching the finish of this raceway and take a look to your reaction.
Come on, Pat! Get it done, Pat!
Lots of light.
Get it done, Pat! 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 Get it done! Yes! Yes! Yes!
Who rode harder, you or Pat Day?
I'd have to say Pat Day did. He's a tough coat to ride. I mean, you got to work on him. When you set him down, you got to kind of work on the coat. He's not really a real push button, but he gathers up his momentum late, and that's when you have to really get into him. Pat done a great job, and we was real glad to have him.
Two great riders and a success story. Chris?
Wayne Catalano won almost 1,800 races as a jockey. Now as a trainer, he's done pretty well, too. The man who taught him, Jack Van Berg, will be awfully proud. Pat Day wins his 5th Louisiana Derby. The master of the Louisiana Derby, 5-time winner Pat Day on our official winner now, Crypto Star. We've got the prices for you and some happy fans backing Crypto Star here this afternoon as he returns some double figures, 1085 and 260. That time of 142 and 3 equals the 85-year-old stakes record here. Stopwatch was second, just photoing out the favorite, Smoke Glacken. Dan Kenny.
Well, Darrell and Evelyn Yates, you must be good business people. You're offered $1 million plus. You decided not to take it. Tell me why.
Well, we just wanted to race the horse. We love racing horses.
And was it a unanimous 2-0 vote? Evelyn?
Yes, it was. Yes.
Now, you've had horses for 20 years. Have you ever had one of this caliber before?
I don't think so. I don't think so. We had one little Illinois bred mare that was real nice to us, but she wasn't like this one.
And when did you first get the idea, Evelyn, that this might be a Derby-type horse?
When we had her ready, we was going to take her to the 2-year-old in training sale, and we decided to keep her because she looked like he looked like he was going to be a good runner, and that's what we want.
All right, and then has the Run for the Roses been a dream for a long time? Is that where we're heading?
Well, you always dreamed that, yes. Don't everybody?
Well, when you get to Louisville, you might meet our friend Dave Johnson, and Dave, you might see more Crypto Star.
Might at that. And you know, if you took a look at the tote board today, you saw that it was pretty hot fractions. The quarter in 22 and 4, the half in 45 and 3, and consider this: Smoke Glacken 3/4 in 110 and 1 was still able to finish in the 3-horse folder. Paid and it was 142 and 3 the final time. Full order of finish here in the Louisiana Derby. Crypto Star on top. Stopwatch was second, and Smoke Glacken third in the blanket photo. Rise and Shine was fourth. Open Forum, part of the Lukas entry, finished fifth. Celtic Warrior, Cash Deposit, Trafalgar, and Tansett was ninth and last. Chris?
Well, there you take a look again at our winner, Crypto Star. Tough day for Team Lucas. Wayne finishes 5th and 8th, but I do want to tell you, he gave me back my umbrella. Thrifty Car Rental, racing across America. Today's coverage of the Louisiana Derby from the Fairgrounds in New Orleans is being brought to you by Thrifty Car Rental. Best of all, it's thrifty. By Visa, it's everywhere you want to be. Budweiser, Beechwood Age for a crisp, clean, classic taste. By Wittnauer Watches, the perfect balance of hand craftsmanship and advanced technology. Wittnauer, the watchmaker's watch. And by Doubletree Hotels and Guest Suites, with over 200 locations worldwide. Ground transportation provided by Thrifty Car Rental. For reservations at over 1,100 locations worldwide, call Thrifty at 1-800-4CARS. Air transportation provided by Western Pacific Airlines, with super low fares from coast to coast. This winter, take Westpac to the max, Mountain Air Express, with direct flights to the finest Colorado ski resorts. Empty track now after the conclusion of an exciting Louisiana Derby. Reminder coming up next on ESPN2, the 1996 review of FIA World Rally Championship Racing. Dave Johnson, a final thought.
In 1977, 20 years ago, the jockey with the most wins, Steve Cawthon. The jockey with the second most wins in America, Wayne Catalano. But I'll bet no victory was as sweet as this afternoon. You saw him ride that horse home from the balcony of the OTB building. Let's watch the race and Wayne's reaction again.
Come on, Pat! Get it done, Pat!
there's nothing like victory. Caden, Dan, some final thoughts.
Well, Chris, my reaction to this race, you know, my day job is buying and selling horses, and when I heard that they turned down $1.2 million, Caden, I didn't know what to say. I couldn't imagine turning down that kind of money.
But you have to look at who was running at the end, and the winner certainly was. So was Stopwatch. Actually, move might have been premature, but both these horses may be on to bigger things.
That's what makes this such a fascinating game, Chris. A good horse can come from anywhere.
They're presenting the Orchids there, as you see. The lady of the Fairgrounds here, Vicki Krantz, Pete